hate to travel. I especially hate to travel for work. About a year ago, I had to travel to a location that was only a 3-hour drive from my job. The area was considered beautiful by tourists. I thought this would be a perfect excuse to bring my wife along. She always hates it when I travel for work, so this seemed like a great opportunity to include her. I figured she could enjoy the sights, go hiking, shop, or just relax. Either way, I would be free every afternoon and night for us to do whatever she wanted. We rented a cute, small house that was mostly secluded. It wasn't in the middle of nowhere, but it was definitely separated from the other houses by a thick bunch of trees. The first night we arrived, we looked around the house. I remember my wife saying she would love to buy a house just like this one. Even though it was small, it had a large basement filled with storage. Little did I know, our short trip was only going to get worse from there. The next morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. to get ready for work. After turning my alarm off, the first thing I noticed was that my wife wasn't in bed with me. That caused me to jump out of bed immediately. I walked out into the kitchen, and there she was. She was sitting on one of the bar stools, drinking coffee, and scrolling on her phone. When I asked her why she was awake so early, she told me she couldn't sleep. She had woken up in the middle of the night. When she rolled over, she thought she saw someone standing in the corner of the bedroom. She tried to squint and focus her eyes, but it was simply too dark to be certain. She rolled back over but couldn't get back to sleep. She said she almost fell asleep at one point, but then she heard a distinct noise coming from that same corner. After that, she was wide awake. She just couldn't shake the terrifying feeling that someone was watching her. At 5 a.m., she finally got up, made coffee, and had been sitting in the kitchen ever since. I felt terrible for her. I could see the pure exhaustion in her face. I could tell she was still a little scared. I got ready for work, and before leaving, I asked if she was going to be okay. She told me she was going to get ready and go explore the town while I was at my meetings. She didn't want to stay in that house alone any longer than she needed to. As I was getting ready to leave, she was laying out her clothes on the bed for after her shower. I kissed her goodbye, and she jumped in the shower. According to her, when she got out of the shower, she noticed that her clothes were arranged differently from how she had left them. Instead of being neatly folded and stacked on top of each other, they were half-folded and thrown into a messy single row. She was completely on edge, but she tried to convince herself it was just her imagination. She got dressed quickly, but then she couldn't find her socks. She knew exactly where she had left them, but now they were gone. She felt like she was going crazy. She quickly grabbed another pair and ran out of the house. Since I had the car, she ordered an Uber to town. I could tell something was wrong. When she texted me, she only gave short, one-word answers, which is completely unlike her. Luckily, I got out of my work meeting early, so I met my wife for lunch in town. She did not look well. This is when she told me about the clothes situation and how her socks had magically gone missing. I didn't know what to say. I believed her, but I just didn't have a solution or any idea of what could be happening. Since I was done with work for the day, we spent the rest of the afternoon in town and actually had a great time. That night, we had dinner at the house, and my wife looked much better. Whatever weirdness was bothering her earlier seemed to be over. However, in the middle of the night, she suddenly woke me up. She whispered that she heard a weird noise. As soon as I listened closely, I could hear it too. It sounded like footsteps, like someone was walking around inside the house. I could feel her shaking next to me. She begged me not to leave the bed, but I needed to know if someone was in the house with us. I quietly walked through the dark house. The only thing I noticed out of the ordinary was that a closet door was wide open. I know it sounds stupid, but I assumed the door had just unlatched and opened on its own. I know it's unlikely, but I've had old doors do that before. I even rationalized the sound we heard, thinking it was just the clicking noise of the door swinging open. I looked inside the closet just to be absolutely sure, and it was empty. I went back and told my wife the house was clear and that we had nothing to worry about. Still, she was convinced that something wasn't right. She couldn't sleep at all, so I decided to stay awake with her for the rest of the night. The next morning, I got ready for work, and she got dressed immediately too. She didn't want to stay a single second in that house without me. We met up for lunch again, and she begged me to go back, pack our things, and leave. I felt terrible because I had to tell her that we needed to stay one more night. I had one final, crucial meeting the next morning that I couldn't miss. This was definitely not the relaxing trip I had planned for us. The thought of staying in that house for another night was completely crippling for her. I offered to get us a hotel room, but because I had already spent so much money renting the house, she agreed to tough it out for one last night. When we got back to the house, we packed everything up immediately so we could leave right after my meeting the next morning. We ordered a pizza that night and sat in the living room for a while. I could tell she was terrified of going to sleep. We ended up playing a trivia game on my phone to pass the time. Every so often, we would hear a strange noise coming from the basement. Every single time we heard it, my wife would crumble with fear. I tried telling her it was just the old house settling, but she couldn't accept that explanation. While we were sitting there, I decided to go down and check the basement one more time. She begged me not to go, but I told her I wanted to prove that the house was safe and give her peace of mind. I went downstairs and looked all around the room. There were storage boxes piled everywhere. There was only a single light bulb, and it wasn't very bright, casting a dim, yellow glow over everything. Just as I was about to head back upstairs, something caught my eye. I turned back around, and standing perfectly still in the dark corner of that room was a man wearing a red hat. He was standing so incredibly still that, for a second, I swore it was just a hat rack or a mannequin. I took a small step closer, and suddenly, the man blinked. I completely freaked out and sprinted upstairs. I yelled at my wife to get to the car right away while I grabbed the bags. We had 3 bags in total. I grabbed 2 of them and threw them outside. My wife frantically loaded them into the car while I ran back inside to grab the final bag. I rushed to the bedroom, ripped our chargers out of the wall, and grabbed the last bag. As I was running back toward the front door, I noticed that the basement door was now wide open, and the hallway closet was slightly ajar. I took a deep breath, sprinted past the closet and the basement door, and literally threw the bag into the back seat of the car before speeding off. I immediately called the rental manager and told her that someone was hiding inside the house. The woman actually started arguing with me, trying to tell me that I must be mistaken. I don't even know if she ever followed up on what I said. I got so angry that I just hung up the phone. Thankfully, we made it out safely. But just because we escaped unharmed doesn't make it any less terrifying. That man was literally wandering around the house with us all weekend. I believe my wife without a doubt now. She definitely saw someone standing in the room that first night. It was almost certainly the guy from the basement. I don't even want to think about what he wanted with us, besides my wife's socks. I know I could have pursued the matter further with the police, but I just let it be. Having a whole house to yourself while you travel is a cool idea, but honestly, I think I'm gonna stick to hotels for a long time. They might have their own creepy vibes sometimes, but at least there you expect to have people around. People who, hopefully, won't be hiding in your room watching you sleep. I like to travel, but I really dislike traveling alone. Because of that, I will usually invite the girl I am seeing at the time to accompany me on trips. One of my most memorable vacations was a trip to Costa Rica with a girl named Julie. We stayed at the Four Seasons, which was a stunningly beautiful resort in every possible way. It was easily one of the nicest places I have ever stayed. However, The trip became memorable not just for its incredible beauty, but for the insanely weird and disturbing experience we had toward the end of our stay. We were staying there for 4 nights, which, trust me, cost me a pretty penny. The place was not cheap at all, but the amenities were fantastic. Honestly, life was absolutely amazing for the first 3 days. On the 3rd night, late in the evening after we ate dinner, we sat on the beach and watched a fire show. Slowly, the pool and public areas started to clear out until we were the only ones left awake. We decided to run back to our room, grab a bottle of tequila and a few mixers, and bring them down to the hot tub by the pool. The hot tub was beautifully secluded, covered in just about every direction by lush trees and tropical plants, except for a narrow opening used to get in and out. There was also a large waterfall feature in the hot tub that made enough ambient noise that we could be as loud as we wanted without disturbing anyone. We were having a great time drinking and relaxing, but the fun was suddenly interrupted when I noticed something through the thick plants. Someone was creeping around on the other side of the greenery. This wasn't just a random guest walking down the regular walkway. Someone was crouching down low, deliberately spying on us inside the hot tub. I stood up and shouted, "Hey!" Then I began climbing out of the hot tub. Let's face it, getting out of a pool or hot tub takes a few awkward seconds. By the time I finally stepped out onto the concrete walkway, I saw a figure hurrying away before turning a sharp corner and completely disappearing. Julie was calling out to me, telling me to just come back and leave it alone, but my adrenaline was pumping. I ran ahead and turned the exact corner the man had just rounded. When I did, I saw absolutely nothing but an empty, dark trail leading toward the guest units. Disturbingly, it was in the exact direction of our room. When I walked back to the hot tub, Julie and I tried to laugh it off, but the romantic vibe was completely dead. We just didn't feel like we had any privacy anymore. We grabbed our towels and started walking back to our room. To get from the pool section back to the units, you had to walk along a path that was incredibly dark at night. It ran directly between the guest buildings on one side and the thick jungle on the right. When we got directly across from our unit, which was located on the first floor, we heard a sudden, loud rustling in the jungle to our right. Now, it's a jungle and there are animals everywhere, so you expect to hear regular rustling noises all the time. But this specific rustling stood out immediately because it sounded much bigger and heavier. It sounded human. Julie was terrified and whispered, "Let's go inside, please." I handed her the wooden key card and told her to go ahead. I stepped closer to take a better look into the dark jungle, and suddenly, I started to hear a bizarre buzzing sound. It didn't sound like a bug or a wild animal at all. It sounded exactly like a human being making a low, rhythmic grumbling or buzzing noise deep in their throat. Whatever or whoever was hiding in the bushes suddenly scurried away, moving deeper into the thick jungle, leaving me standing there with my heart in my throat. I hurried inside after Julie and slammed the heavy door shut behind me. She hadn't caught the strange buzzing noise, but she had definitely heard the heavy footsteps scurrying away. Truly felt like someone was actively stalking us. We eventually went to bed, comforting ourselves with the fact that no one could get into a securely locked room. The next day, while we were lounging by the beach, we decided to tell one of the resort workers about the weird encounter from the night before, just as a warning for other guests and staff. We stayed out on the beach for a few hours. During that time, a man dressed in a standard employee uniform came up to us holding a camera. He politely asked us to smile and pose for a photo. We didn't think twice about it, so we smiled, and he snapped the picture. He smiled back, thanked us, and walked away. We kept watching him, fully expecting him to go up to other couples on the beach to take their photos too. But when we looked up a moment later, the guy had completely vanished. Another detail worth noting was that every single other worker at this resort was Costa Rican. This specific dude was white, Now, that's not the craziest thing in the world, but this guy was remarkably pale, even whiter than us. Julie and I both noted how strange that was amongst ourselves. Skipping ahead to that evening, things were going nicely. We had a great dinner, watched a beautiful sunset, explored the resort a bit more, and relaxed. We had an early flight the next morning, so we decided to call it a night pretty early. We were exhausted and fell asleep easily. However, I woke up suddenly in the middle of the night to a pitch-black room. It had to be the early hours of the morning, somewhere between midnight and 1:30 a.m. When my eyes opened, I was facing the patio. Our suite featured a nice patio with a large sliding glass door, and the patio itself was fully screened off to prevent tropical bugs from getting in. We had purposely left the sliding door wide open that night so we could fall asleep listening to the sounds of the waves and wildlife outside. But now I heard a completely different sound out there. I thought for sure I heard the distinct electronic beep of a digital camera taking a photo. I was only about 30% sure at first, until I heard it again a second later. It was unmistakably the mechanical shutter and beep of a camera. I sat straight up in bed. Through the dark, I could see a distinct human silhouette standing right on the other side of the patio screen. I shouted, "Hey!" again, trying to sound angry, but deep down, I was absolutely terrified. All I could see of this person was a solid black outline. I watched as the silhouette spun around and sprinted away into the darkness. Julie woke up startled, and I told her exactly what I had just witnessed. I slammed the sliding patio door shut, locked it tight, and immediately called the front desk. I made a very loud, anxious report of what had just happened and demanded they send security to our room right away. An employee arrived about 10 minutes later, and I explained everything in detail. The stalker from the hot tub, the strange man with the camera on the beach, and now the intruder on our patio. The employee looked confused and firmly stated that the resort does not have staff walking around taking random photos of guests. That confirmed it. It was the exact same person. In fact, this creep had likely been stalking us for the past 2 days. I demanded a new room immediately because we no longer felt safe in that suite. They agreed to move us and promised to review all the video surveillance footage from the past 48 hours. We were transferred to another suite located much closer to the secure main lobby. Needless to say, we kept the patio door in this new room locked tightly shut. We woke up early the following morning for our flight. The resort provided a shuttle service to the airport, and while we were checking out at the front desk, the manager asked to show us the video footage. It was chilling. The cameras captured the man actively stalking us, creepily wandering around the property. According to the security footage they reviewed, he was exclusively targeting us and only taking pictures of us. It was the most horrifying and confusing thing I have ever seen. We couldn't stay long because we were in a massive hurry to catch our flight, but the staff assured us that if the man was found, strict legal action would be taken. We were just incredibly relieved to be leaving that place behind. I followed up with the resort a few days later, but they apologized and said they had no new updates, which was incredibly disappointing. I don't see Julie anymore, but this remains a truly crazy and disturbing story that the two of us share. Sometimes I still want to reach out to her just to talk about it again.